See, everybody coming to me talking about pay-per-view numbers all the time. Well, Terrence Crawford don't sell these pay-per-view numbers. Jake Paul is selling more pay-per-view numbers than all these guys. He don't need a Ryan Garcia or none of this stuff. He don't need a big name. He can do these big numbers with Nate Diaz, who just had a fight recently, and it wasn't big pay-per-view numbers with Masvidal. So when people bring up the pay-per-view numbers, Jake Paul sells more pay-per-view numbers than all these boxers on his own. He just did a whole bunch of numbers with Tommy Fury. So why is pay-per-view numbers starting to become, it sounds like people starting to sound like Mayweather now. The fans are. Because they're so enamored with pay-per-view numbers now. Well, this guy's selling this many pay-per-view numbers. Who cares, man? Like, nobody ever cared about pay-per-view numbers to make a fight. Jake Paul selling more than everybody. I don't know if the fans realize that. They bring up pay-per-view numbers like that's the reason why a fight should be made. Is that why? Because if so, Jake Paul is the person that people need to be making a fight with then. If it's about pay-per-view numbers. If that's all the fans care about these days, Jake Paul is basically the face of boxing at this point. He going out there selling 500. I think people said, what, Tank did 400K, 400 some K. If people believe in real numbers, those are the ones that he did with Frank Martin. So what about Canelo? When he's around 400 or something like that with John Ryder, then he came to PBC. We had Eddie Hearn said, no, those numbers are wrong. Those numbers are fake. Well, if Canelo was doing big numbers at the Zone, why would he come to PBC and try to get better opponents? Because he did big numbers with Caleb Plant. Then he went back with John Ryder. Numbers started going back down. Then Jake Paul had higher numbers last year. If you look at the list last year, they had Ryan Garcia and Tank Davis, number 1. They had Terrence Crawford and Spence, number 2. They had Jake Paul, number 3. And then Canelo was 4 and 5. We wasn't even top 3 last year. Just being honest. Just being honest. And people be like, no, that's not real. If it's not real, then why would Netflix come back around and make the fight deal with Jake Paul? Because Jake Paul just said recently, he helped bring the Netflix deal to Mike Tyson. Even though I know they did it because of Mike Tyson. He wasn't going to get the deal without Mike Tyson. Let's just keep him 100. But Mike Tyson's selling more than everybody. He did 1.5 with no crowd, no gate, no nothing. So let's just keep it real. Mike Tyson's selling more than everybody when it comes to boxing. That's why it's sad when dudes bring up pay-per-view numbers these days, because you got a 60-year-old man doing 1.5 million with no gate, no crowd, nothing. And pay-per-view numbers don't really matter, man. It's kind of overrated. It really is. Like, we just want to see the fights. We don't really think about pay-per-view numbers, because if we did, Conor McGregor sells more than all these guys in pay-per-view numbers. Just to be honest. And that's the same guy. And Canelo, he fought Floyd just like Conor McGregor did. Because I know people will say that Conor McGregor fighting Floyd made him more popular. So did Canelo fighting Floyd. Duh. So does everybody else who fight Floyd. People still remember who Victor Ortiz is. Yeah, the pay-per-view numbers, it's just a thing people use now to try to avoid making fights and everything else, because most of these guys, they fight, never sold a pay-per-view in their life, but they'll make an excuse. John Ryder, I think that was Caleb Plant's first pay-per-view. I think Charlo did a pay-per-view once or twice. I know probably it was one time with his brother on the card, but these guys ain't selling like that. Come on, man. To be honest, like, yeah, Jake Paul is the reason. See, that's why Jake Paul is walking around. The fans is making it about pay-per-view numbers. And, well, this guy ain't selling. That's why Jake Paul in boxing. But his numbers is way higher than everybody else. That's all I got.